The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Boyles. It's good to have everyone here on a Friday, May the 30th. 710 KNUS, our website, 710knus.com. We have had an ongoing quest for who is Barack Obama. Now, we do these things from time to time, and not, again, speaking about who is Barack Obama, we do all the time, but we're going to use just a name, Sink, on this one. Is that fair, Sink? Good morning.
Yes, it is.
And
good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. I know there's some reasons why we're only going to use the name SYC. Perhaps you could give the audience a little bit of an explanation, maybe that's a great way to say it, on why you prefer to be SYC.
Well, those actually happen to be, my initials, but in the past, when I started doing research into the birth certificate issue back in 2008, there's been a couple of threats literally leveled against me from a couple of different groups because of the stuff that I have discovered. And because of that, I have a couple of open cases with the local law enforcement inside. So,
That's fair. When the threats came, and if I'm pushing into an area you don't care to be in, I more than understand. But when the threats came, how did they come, and where did they begin, and why did they begin? And could you tell the audience what story or what issue you were working on when you first got a threat?
Well, actually, what happened was that back in 2008, back in early July of 2008, I started going into the COLB. And initially, believe it or not, I tried to prove that it was real. And what kept coming up was anomalies.
Now, what he's talking about is called certificate of live birth, because
the certificate of live birth.
A lot of people don't. I didn't mean to I didn't mean to interrupt, but a lot of people that aren't on the inside of the story would maybe not follow those initials. I'm sorry.
It's the original short form that was originally displayed on the daily costs. And so what happened is that I started breaking it apart. And a little bit of background. My family background is I am both sons and daughters of the American Revolution, general descendants of the Mayflower Society, and because of that, you have to know your family history, your documentation, your paperwork, and doing family research and stuff like that, inside here to tie it together. I have somewhat knowledgeable background when it comes to birth certificates, okay, and how you have to document things. Well, what happened is with the short form, things completely started falling off, okay, things that weren't right with it. So I started blogging on there, and one of the major, I guess we will call it WorldNet Daily sites, they had a forum on eligibility. And this was getting into, threats that were posted on the forum inside of there. I was under a login name there, and you had a certain group of, if you want to call it disinformation people, started putting threats out and started trying to incite violence, believe it or not. And so immediately went down to, my law enforcement organization and documented it. So a couple of things that, I had done in the background was when, initially when the Rodney West story came out, which supposedly was the original birth doctor, well, I debunked that in 20 minutes.
I remember that.
Actually,
I believe that you and I have spoken more than once. Think about that. So I know who you are, and I know you did that work. I want you to, understand my appreciation. No, please, with apologies. Go back to that for a moment. When the document that the president used at that press conference, and great experts, people with wonderful expertise, have literally taken that apart to find it to be 9 different layers put together in a PDF file. And this is the one you're talking about right now, correct?
No, I'm talking about the original one. The original one that was on the Daily Kos and also Fight the Smears, and that was posted. That's the original one. The second one, which is the long form, which they released because of Corsi's book that was coming out, Where's the Birth Certificate?
Okay.
Fair
enough.
That's the second one. And they had to do that on the second one because of all the hype that was being generated by Trump and Corsi, about the birth certificate.
Okay.
So I was one of the original ones that was working on the short form, which was prior to that. I have worked on a little bit of the PDF, but I am not an Adobe expert.
Continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's so in essence, what I've done is tracking on the COLB. One of the things that came out on the COLB was the fact that you had multiple versions. You had one version that supposedly had a seal, another one that did not have a seal. And so I've documented this on my website, and I've got a large number of videos on here on my YouTube channel, and there's an analysis that I had done on the short form, and I'll refer to it as a short form, strictly because I wanted people to be able to do this themselves. And it's a 3-part series. I sent you the link on that where you can actually go in and take the analysis and break this thing apart. It's a digital document. One of the things that I had discovered in doing the research is that there was a blank Hawaiian background image document on the Internet, and there was a redacted section on that image. That image was redacted on the Obama one in that there were 3 separate anomalies that matched on the blank template to the Obama one. One of the original researchers was a guy that I pronounce his name Polrick, Ron Polrick, and the date stamp that is on there is not even a stamp. It's actually an overlay. And on my YouTube channel, I have where I actually physically show you real time in about 5 minutes how to create your own short form that looks identical to the one that was originally released. Both documents, the short form and the long form, are digital images. There's never been a physical copy.
Yeah. You're listening to, he is going by the name SYC or Sync, and since Donald Trump on Memorial Day at the National Press Club, actually on the Tuesday following Memorial Day at the National Press Club, and now the so-called birther issue is back, at least on the front burner of thinking people, and there is coverage of what Trump said and talking about the $50 million offer. And so for the last couple of days here, most of yesterday and the day before, we spent half of the morning show, again, returning to who is Barack Obama. And Sink is one of those guys that goes back years into this, and I do know who he is. And you're going between the two. Let me ask a question of you, given all of your work and all of your effort. If I were to ask you your best guess on what is the real life story of the President of the United States, what do you think it is?
My best is that he was born in Kenya. He was adopted into the marriage of Stanley Ann and Barack Obama. He was dumped here, and the Barack Obama Sr. went to Harvard, and Stanley Ann kept him. Stanley Ann is not his mother.
Wow. See, I got to tell you something. We've had, I think, probably 8 guests since the Trump story brings this to the front burner. Not one of the 8 agrees with any of the other of the 8 on Barack Obama's true life story. That's fascinating. These are people who, like yourself, Jack Cashill, we get on a list of people. Linda Jordan, you probably know these people, Charles Kirchner. Every one of them, when I ask that question, has a different version of that man's life. Now, if I were to say to you, we know more about Rutherford Hayes than we know about Barack Obama. You realize that. We know more. I mean, we know more about Millard Fillmore's life than we do the life of the President of the United States. Do you believe that's a true statement?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the things that, and one of the reasons why, my belief is similar is the fact that, for there was a report that he had an amended birth certificate.
I've read that as well.
Okay, an amended birth certificate means that something was changed. The majority of the time, it's due to an adoption. Okay, I know this personally. Okay, that.
But if I may pause you, but was that when he was adopted by Lolo Sotero?
I don't think so. And the only reason why I say that is I don't think that there was a law in Indonesia requiring them to notify the birth country.
But remember the passport changing and the Surabaka name, and that Stanley Ann is getting him off of her passport.
Yep. Oh, it's
it's so confusing.
This intelligence.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so, the only reason, like I said, is that amended birth certificate. But then you have to go back to, Abercrombie, who said he couldn't find it. He searched for it.
But he's lying.
The governor of Hawaii couldn't find it.
But he's a proven liar when it comes to the story of the president.
Absolutely. And he had Tim Adams, who worked for the elections over there, who said there was none on file. The story is constantly changing.
But then one appears to be on file, which I don't believe. I think that it was created in this country. I don't think it was ever brought on a night flight from Hawaii. But Neil Abercrombie, the sitting governor of Hawaii, is a proven liar when it comes to him telling stories about Barack Sr., Barack, Stanley Ann, the whole story. He is absolutely, positively, without a doubt, a liar. Having said that, when you start, and I'm not hanging this on you, but when you anyone brings up what Neil Abercrombie says or doesn't say, he's already a confirmed liar. So why listen to him? And you're absolutely right when he said he searched and couldn't find it, and then suddenly they found it.
And I think one of the big players is Perkins Coie,
the law firm, of course.
Robert Barr.
Indeed.
You're going to send someone on a flight to Hawaii when they can transmit it.
Well, they could electronically have sent that. That's right.
Right. Everything about his life history has altered or changed. When I did a blog article, is a long-form birth certificate possible, a forgery possible? And as soon as the Rodney West story came out, that kind of hooked the doctor, because normally a doctor would also have patient files on record. None of that's been gone through.
It's 18 after the hour. This story, and having spent the last 3 days on it again, and the kinds of emails that get sent to you, it doesn't trouble me, but it's interesting how people react to this, that all they can do is personally attack without saying, well, gee, what is the truth? The woman you're talking about, her name is Judith Corley. And I've done everything in the world to try and speak with Judith Corley. She's not going to talk to anybody. She was the lawyer that was sent on the night flight to go and get the so-called real birth certificate. And this is what took place in 2011. We have up on our website as of yesterday 10 facts that suggest Barack Obama's birth certificate is a fake. That's up on our website, 710knus.com. But that night flight, which was crazy, and I said at the time, you could have sent this on the internet. It's only a PDF file, correct?
Correct.
And
Yeah,
so, and only one reporter, this is important, this is maybe esoteric, but only one reporter, of all places, NBC News, which is suspect on all levels, a woman by the name of Savannah Guthrie. And there are no cameras allowed, no recording devices allowed, and one reporter, Savannah Guthrie, said she saw the real document. And then it was scanned into a PDF and loaded onto the internet for everybody to see. And according to the Obamites and idiots that listen to this radio show, that was the end of the story. And the only problem is for Obama is that all these electronic document experts have shown, using steps that anyone can repeat, if they have the proper software, the White House so proudly uploaded it is simply a fraud. It's layered. It's at least 9 different layers. It's an assembled electronic document, not a scanned paper document. As someone with expertise, Sink, do you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that would be interesting is the seal. The state of Hawaii, the seal, and this is one of the things that I got back, and it's on my blog, is an actual letter, 2 of them from the state of Hawaii. I actually emailed it early enough before all the controversy, caused the state of Hawaii to shut down, on what the seal would look like on an actual issued either short or long form birth certificate from the state of Hawaii. And it's completely different than what is the state issue to what is on that supposedly one that's on the COLB. And that nailed it right there. And
let me do this. I need to take a pause, and we will return with you. Please hang on. Our guest is Sink, and the Who is Barack Obama story again comes forward with Donald Trump of the National Press Club. And I don't know why, but there is a measure of people that can't handle the truth. And the off the charting of the email, like I said, I read a lot of them on the air yesterday. Some of them I literally couldn't read only because of the language. I don't know why you won't call and speak about this, and I've already gotten our already out-of-the-box emails. Oh, no, another racist morning here on 710. Well, if that's your only response to all of this is that it's racist. This is a story, of course, that, I don't know, for me it's been 8 or 9 years of chasing this. Barack Obama's fraudulent documents, including his birth certificate, selective service form, use of bogus Social Security numbers, and beat goes on. And on the line with us, he is one of these people that we have known over the years who has been in this discussion, fight, argument, and because of being threatened, he is only going to use the name Sink, which is SYC, which in fact are his initials. What I find fascinating is all these different people that I know and have known over time and have respected their work, when you get them together and you ask them individually, so what is Barack Obama's true life story? To the person, they all tell a different version. What's, I guess, evident in this is that regardless of what story Dr. Corsi tells, what story Linda Jordan tells, what story Commander Kirchner tells, right down the line of people that I respect, no one tells the same story, but every one of them is totally different than the official story. So let me bring you back to that. What do you believe in, again, the official story, the fabricated story? There are so many holes in this man's life story. You could drive trucks through these holes. The mainstream press, we've been over this so many times, big media, his own party, Republican Party, nobody goes near this. This is like the 28th time I've said this probably in 3 days. But I spoke with a congressman once, just a face-on-face, and said, oh, yeah, everybody in D.C. knows, and I'm paraphrasing him, everybody in D.C. knows the story's not straight. And I said, why doesn't somebody do something about it? Well, he said, that's another story. In other words, nobody, because you can see what happened to Trump, you can see what happened to other people simply for asking the question. And it's no big deal. It was me, but I was cartooned against and letters and editorials written about me simply asking these questions. So I know what happened to you, but why do you, how do I say this? When do you think the fabricating began? How young was he, or did he start to do it himself, or was he taught to do it? How do you deal with that question?
I think part of the story is that, when you take a look at it, how often he lies in public. If you remember, he was down south. I forget where it was, but he said because of Selma, Alabama,
oh, yeah, sure.
Happening that,
right.
Barack Obama became,
Yeah.
So within his own mind, one of the things that really came in was the story years ago where it said that, when Barry became Barack, when he came back from, I think it was college, and he changed his name. Well, unfortunately, in the 80s, that was common for African Americans to, quote, go back to their roots and start using a different name. So I think that, he embellished a lot of this on himself. I think it started from an early age, probably because people told him, that his father was Barack Obama. He believed it. He believed what they told him about him, that, he was supposed to become this great big, person in Kenya. Because I think he was supposedly going to be going to economics, right, inside of there. So I think all of this happened. And then when he moved to Indonesia, it became layer upon layer. So you're constructing an onion instead of what people are trying to look at and investigate is deconstructing that onion to get to the truth. So I think that it's his life, what people have told him. One of the things why I personally believe, he was brought to this country, that he was already born, was because in 2006, he was talking to a reporter from the Chicago Sun-Times, and he was talking about going to Indonesia, where he says, ironically, that where he has more of a childhood than he does in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
This is Barack Obama.
But he, like I said, if you look at things that he said, including writing his own autobiography, having his publisher claim that he was a Kenyan, he himself said many, many times to many, many, many different people, he is used, and then now, of course, he makes these what are called wise guy remarks about his childhood in Kenya or his birth in Kenya or his birth certificate. But the facts speak for themselves. You have dozens of people that tell the stories that he told them about being a Kenyan prince, his own autobiography that he wrote for his publisher, where he makes those claims. And he's not a 9-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid or a 12-year-old kid or a 13-year-old kid. He's an adult man. He's out of law school. And he is writing these things. And I mean, for the life of me, and we're coming up on time, for the life of me, I don't understand why it isn't. Well, let me throw the other question at you. Suppose the truth is out. What would that do to his 8 years as president? What would that do to legislation that he passed? What would that do to the mainstream press? What would it mean if the truth were found?
It would be a constitutional crisis. And I don't think that, this country would really know what to do legally. I think one of the issues inside of there is all the legislation that has been put in. You just can't wipe it out. I think that in some ways the damage has been done, but that's the reason why he was put there. was to do the damage.
You
know,
believe,
right now,
I mean, I know I've met plenty of people to believe that this is all with intent.
Oh, absolutely. If you go back, you know, in doing a little prep, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in one of the Supreme Court cases, I forget the name of it because it's kind of an Asian name, Noonjin, I believe is what the case was, talked about citizenship, and specifically going back to the way it was prior to 1934 when citizenship depended solely on your father. Well, once again, that's where our country was founded, on the Naturalization Act of 1790, where citizenship did not fall to anyone whose father was not a resident. And that's one of the things that clued me in when it came to citizenship from the father. Barack Obama never, in his statement, mentions, you know, when Barack Obama was born on August 4th, 1961, you know, take out the Honolulu, Hawaii part because that's questionable. Kenya was still a British colony, and his father was governed by the British Naturality Act of 1948, and so was his children. That's a true statement. When they put that out, he never says he has any U.S. citizenship whatsoever. When you turn around and you have those statements, I think he put it out there for everyone to see. But you have the people on the other side that say, wait, you know, he was duly elected. You know, it was a legal election. Well, no, it wasn't. You know, if you have an ineligible candidate, how do you deal with the laws that he signed inside of there?
Well, that's my question, and this is all after.
It's a massive, because I think that, you know, you're on your radio show, you know, God bless you. You know, you're taking this and keeping it out there. And when you turn around,
well, there's a cost. I mean, and I'm not playing the violin. There's a cost to doing the story. And I had a conversation with somebody last night over the story in the last couple of days, and I said, well, there's a cost to doing this story, and it isn't. You know, I don't care. I'm an old guy. I've run my race, and I'm not worried about anything anyhow. And those kind of things just don't have any meaning. But it's interesting to me, the email reactions in the last, I don't know, 80 hours. And I've been through all of this before, believe me, and I've been through it in spades about this story. And there's a couple of other things we've touched on, but nothing quite like this. But I guess the point I'm trying to make, Sink, is that somebody has to chase this story down. And it's not that I'm important, nor that this radio station's important, but there are people now. I mean, significantly Trump. But there's an interesting story I got sent yesterday, and I don't know if we can get him on the show or not. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, and he's a California congressman, and he asked a question. Why doesn't Obama have a valid Social Security number and valid IDs? He actually has asked this question. Now, it's not getting national attention, but we're gonna try and contact him and try and get him to speak to us. I mean, there is a groundswell to this.
Right, and I think that's where the media has let us down.
Well, of course, but
if this was in a different time,
oh my God,
under a different president, it'd be another Watergate.
Imagine if this was George Bush.
Absolutely.
I mean, now, I could see them maybe halfway laying down for Bill Clinton, like they did when it came to Monica Lewinsky, but George Bush, I mean, phonied something like this. Oh my God!
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. The media has let us down, and you know, yesterday I was listening, and you know, that's the reason why I decided to contact you. You know, you know, the people that you mentioned, Mike Flynn, you know, Commander Kirchner,
yep.
You know, these are the guys that I trust. Okay, there's a very small group of people that know who I am. Jerome Corsi is one. Mike Zullo is another. These are the people that I trust, and these are the people that, you know, I decided, you know what, I got to do this. You know, where these guys are going out. These are the people that actually and honestly, are trying to get to the bottom
Absolutely.
of this because they deserve it. Right now, one of the biggest scandals is with these vets. I'm a vet. And believe it or not, my heart goes out to them, and if there's any scandal that needs to break this thing wide open, it's the vets.
Well,
And
Shinseki's on the clock. I mean, this guy is as good as gone, and and the beat goes on. Having something like that take place in one of your agencies, that's not the first nor the last. I don't know who it is going to, as they say, jump the broom when it comes to this story and this guy. I really, really don't know. It's maddening. It's befuddling, and it's called the elephant in the living room. And I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and they talk about this all the time. That you go to people and you tell them and you can go in the other room, you can see the elephant. And it's trumpeting, and it's crashing the furniture, and it's defecating, and it's kicking holes in the windows, and it's smashing everything. And there's a family sitting in the kitchen, and they can hear the elephant. And you come in and say, "Come on down the hallway and look at the elephant. It's in there." And they go, "No, get out of here. It's you. There's no elephant in there." And you're going, "Wait, can't you hear it? Can't you smell it? Can't you listen to what it's doing?" "There's no elephant in there. Come here, sit down. Quit it." And that's called the elephant in the other room. Barack Obama, in his life story, is the elephant in the other room. Now, you can't drag the mainstream press down the hall to look at all the overwhelming questions and all the overwhelming evidence that this biological story is not true. Yet, there's guys like you, people like you mentioned, and others. And the fact that Trump is doing this is a gift. It really is. Please take the last comment, and we'll talk again probably in a week. So if you would, sir, take the last comment.
Thank you very much for the work that you're doing. Thank you for keeping this in front of the people. Thank you for, having people like Linda Jordan, Commander Kirchner, Mike Boleyn, on that, are really, really working to this.
Really? Yeah.
And for people like Jerome Corsi to give them that outlet, so people can know that people are really out there working. It's just thank you.
Thank you, brother.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.